Welcome everyone to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. And on this fine Valentine's Day Eve, we are joining you because we are the gift that keeps on giving. Who's we? I'm Jamie the Vet Williams, and with me as always, my tag team partner in crime, Brandon. Hello, Brandon.
Yo.
So, how's it going?
It is going pretty well. We thought I might have had a scare because when I was doing streams, my camera wasn't working. And I was really hoping that it was just a software issue and I wouldn't have to buy a new camera. But as we can see with this, it was in fact a software issue because this is the same camera still. So apparently there's an issue with the whatever streaming stuff I was using.
Yeah, we had some little audio issues right off the bat, but we fixed it. Buckshot Kid told me about your issues earlier on one of my streams. Speaking of Buckshot Kid, why don't we say hello to the people that we have with us so far?
Hello?
Ding dong. Oh, I mean, you know, acknowledging the chat and whatnot. Usually we run down the crew. Who do we got?
Well, we got Elizabeth in the house. We got Buckshot Kids. We got Hatebot, yeah. And we got Lab Brad. And I'm sure more people will start coming in as the show gets heated up. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, yeah, and it's heating up. And we got some competition, too. Lots of people are streaming. I think Stevie Ray's still on right now. We got to get him on one of these shows. We had Stevie Ray to talk Impact. That'd be hilarious. So, any big games happen this weekend or anything?
I think there was that thing with those, they put those puppies in that one little football field.
Ah, yes. Do they still do a thing with the ladies in their underpants as well?
Oh yeah, the lingerie bowl. I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean,
if it hasn't gotten canceled by now.
Oh, it's got canceled, all right. Long before there was such a term as canceling. Well, we did get Camille out of that, so you know, there's something. Hatebot took a knee. Buckshot Kid says I'm stress eating because Jay White might go to WWE. Jay White ain't going to WWE. Unless he does. Or he could come back to Impact. You know, I'm sure that he has no problem with his run there where they put Chris Sabin over him. Like, none whatsoever.
I mean, it's Goldberg 98, man. You gotta give him the win. You gotta give him the win.
Got to, man. That should have been, Jay White should have been that cattle prod. That's what Jay White should have been. Well, yeah. Well, as you can see here, I have the Rob's Backstage Popcorn that was such a hit with Kenny King and Zicky Dice the previous week, so I thought I'd give it a taste and see what all the fuss is about. And it's I mean, it's popcorn. I mean, what can you say? Is it worth the hype? I don't know. You find it in the grocery store and decide for yourself. Rob's Backstage Popcorn. You know, at a grocery store near you. But that should answer that question from Javi Uchiha. Now, Brian, you probably are busy on Super Bowl day more than most people are, wouldn't you say?
Yep, but I don't mind working it every year.
Is that like what the Christmas holidays are for retail?
Kinda, yeah, but it's like a much shorter period. Like once kickoff happens, like it just plummets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, nobody wants to miss the gripping action of the National Football League. And Liz is saying, I'm still trying to understand how that was the best halftime show ever. Either meaning she can't believe it was, or that everybody's saying it was and she doesn't believe that. I'm not sure which. It's the phrasing that's confusing. Yeah, Javi says I'll wait till they come out with the RGB flavor. Let me tell you, brother. But yeah, Super Bowl. Here's a funny Super Bowl story. Not that funny, but at least it's short. I mean, by the time the Super Bowl comes on, I've already been up for like, you know, almost, what would it be? A full day, like 18 hours. So, like at that point, I'm pretty tired. So I think I'll just DVR the Super Bowl. I wake up and start watching it. The DVR cuts it off before the end of the game. So it's like, so I sat there and I avoided social media and all the other stuff, and I wake up, I don't even get to see the finish. Oh well. That's fine, I didn't care anyway.
Can you imagine you're not able to see Bash the Beach 96? You want to see who the third man is. Can't make us have somebody tape it for you. And then as soon as Hogan walks down to the ring, it cuts off.
All right. Well, I guess Hulk Hogan saved the day. I guess I'll talk about it with everybody at work tomorrow. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't even bother trying to look up any stuff, but I mean, the Chiefs did win, and I guess I'm glad of the two teams. Philadelphia is a miserable bunch of sports fans. I'm not gonna say people, because I'm sure there's some lovely people there, like there are everywhere. But as sports fans, they're notoriously rowdy and hateful. And I find them much better. I think they work much better as a city in the loser's position. It's better. I'm mad that they won a Super Bowl. I'm mad that they ever won any World Series. I'm mad that they get anything. I like when people know their role and stay in their lane as losers and don't upset the apple cart, you know? So, there you go. Congratulations to Kansas City. So I guess we should probably talk about Impact too, as long as nobody's busy or anything. You guys in the chat, you busy? You want to talk about Impact for a bit? So when I watch this, I've never seen this before. They ripped the feed straight off of Access. And they kept having these, like, viewer discretion is advised warnings. Like, it started with that. It came out of it came out of, like, every commercial break like that. Like, they had this message, an Access TV branded message. Like, they put that on the network channel. Saying this may contain, you know, some adults, whatever it was. Maybe some of you guys saw it too. But that's what my version had. Okay, so they are on every week, Liz. Liz says, I see those every week. So that's just in case they kill anybody on TV. They just want you to know, like, you should have been discreet in your viewing. So, yeah. So that started, but they usually leave that out of whatever feed I got. So I thought that was interesting, and I was waiting for something to happen on this show. Like, oh, they must have another angle going that's going to, you know, maybe Moose is going to beat up somebody else's wife, or, you know, or Bully Ray's going to beat up some. I guess it's just, it can only be heels beating up wives is the only thing that can really happen. Actually, it's the same, isn't it the same wife? That poor wife. Josh Alexander's wife. He's really got to keep her away from there. You know, a man's real life wife would be like, I'm never going back there. After the first anything that happened. After they forgot to, like, put her on the, you know, put her on the list of people that can go backstage one time, and she had to call him, she'd be like, I'm not going with you anymore. Let alone if she was assaulted or kids were made to cry. So, anyway, this opens up with a short film that could probably be submitted to the Academy. I don't know if it's too late for best short film consideration this year. It's probably too late. The deadline was probably 2022. But anyway, it's Matt Cardona, and he wants to be shown to his dressing room, and so this guy with a clipboard takes him to what seems like a decent dressing room, but all they did was put up some curtains and put a couple of shrimp cocktails on a table with a bucket of champagne. This cost Impact's entire monthly budget to do this. And they, you know, the guy said, you know, as he's leaving, he's like, you know, you're welcome, Mr. Hendry or whatever. And then, of course, Matt Cardona's like, what? You know, like I'm not Joe Henry. And he's like, who are you? So, you know, long story short, he takes him to his dressing room, which is a utility closet or whatever. But I'm a little over the idea. I know they're trying to just be entertaining and do something different, and I like most of it, but it's the premise itself that's flawed. Like I think it's one of those things that's done to death in wrestling, like when you don't know the famous wrestler that works there. Like, of all the guys in your company that has the most outside visibility, and you have some guy that works there at Impact Wrestling who doesn't know who Matt Cardona is, so we have to do this. Like, could have been this could have been like another set up another way to have the same gag. You know what I mean?
Right. It's beyond the point of you can't look at that and go, that character is stupid. It's like, that's just completely unbelievable.
Yeah. No one would buy it. So we're supposed to just, you know, laugh at it and move on.
No, they did not, Buckshot. No, they did not.
Buckshot Kid says, I hope they used up the light budget. Well, yeah.
And we'll find out next week.
Well, I mean, so the last show we did, wasn't it at Center Stage? The tapings were still at Center Stage in Atlanta?
I think so.
Yeah, and this time they're in
they're somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, somewhere in Florida. They didn't say. Or maybe they did and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, they spend more time ripping the state than the city they're at.
Right. Nobody knows cities in Florida. Just say the whole state. So yeah. So this is a different set of tapings, different set, and we kind of got some of the same old stuff here in the setup. So anyway, yeah, they open with a short film, and then we go into Brian Myers versus Dirty Dango. People keep commenting on the catering. Like, all right, what do you guys know?
I think they're talking about the coming up scene with Giselle and pouring food over everybody's head.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah. So, yeah, Myers versus Dango. Another 5-year-old WWE main event match. Like, this is exactly what this would have been. Now, and I don't mean main event as in main event program on like Raw or SmackDown. I'm talking about main event, the show of the matches they taped before Raw. This is what would have been on that. This episode, like I noticed during this match, because it's first, I noticed that it looks more live, if that makes sense. You notice that, like in the presentation. But it's, you know, it's just a match. So Myers wins if anyone cares. Did you have any notes on this or thoughts?
And just like the other qualifying match later tonight, it was obvious who's going over. Like, so what's the point of even watching? It's basically like, okay, what's the finish? What's next?
Really? You thought this was obvious? You don't think that Dango could have beat fucking Brian Myers at all?
I mean, the possibility is always there. They might go for this. They might go for that finish, but I didn't see it personally because cause I'm not really sure what Dango's contract status is. If he's just there for a few shots to put some guys over, if he's got a long-term deal in place, or
Yeah. Well, he thinks he does because he's still trying to be the deputy director of authority. So, um, so yeah. Well, there you go. Moving on, I suppose. Unless there was anything else.
nah. I mean, it was a decent match. I mean, you got two guys who know how to work an opening. Get the crowd up and work a basic opening match.
Yeah. Well, anytime Brian Myers doesn't drop a ladder on your face, I consider it a win. So.
Yep. Or powerbomb you on top of it, on top of the ring steps.
Yep. Just basically get in, get out. All right,
Most
now we know
professional,
it.
most professional wrestler.
Most professional, except sometimes. So here's some professionalism for you. Giselle's walking through the cafeteria or whatever this is. Like, what is this, high school? And she's ruining people's meals, I guess, by adding water to it. I mean, like, she's very proud of herself doing it. She's like, "Oh, did I just ruin your meal? Sorry, that's just what I do." And Deanna catches up with her and decides, hey, I can ruin a meal too. So, when Giselle tries to grab someone's bowl of chili, it coincides right with the finishing line of Deanna's promo, where she says, something about, I just have to beat him to the punch, and then the chili goes in Giselle's face as she's covered in chili.
Oh, blow up in your face.
Blow up in your face, right? Yeah. And then Santino comes in and tries to break it up without getting any chili on his jacket. And then he makes a match for the two of them for no surrender. And then he tries the chili and says it needs a little more salt. So here we go. This is this Impact Catering? That's what people are commenting on.
I really hope not. Yeah, what was this, supposed to accomplish other than provide a backdrop for the Deanna confrontation, and then the spot with the chili?
None. That was it. It was a very elaborate setup to get a singles match at a pay-per-view. There you go. and a poor chili on Giselle, I guess. If anybody's interested in that. And believe me, some people are. All right. So Trey Miguel is with Gia and no music underneath. He's talking about how Crazy Steve is crazy. This is literally his name on his driver's license, I think he said. Crazy ass Steve. And then the lights go out. And then while the lights go out, they come back on. And then they show Trey Miguel's little tag on all the video screens. And then he's freaked out. And then it starts bleeding. Like they add some graphic effects to make it look like the M and the T are bleeding. And then he's just making noises at some point. He just sounds like he's like they focus off of him and zoom in on the logo, the bleeding logo, and he's off on the side like like what, he's making some noises like someone stepped on a gorilla or something. I don't know. It was kind of funny, but ultimately, why'd the lights have to go out for this? For the TV monitors to bleed? I don't know. But that would be, if we're playing my bingo game, lights going out for any reason is on the bingo card, so mark that. All right. Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, at least here, it kind of would make sense for the lights to go out, because if you're going to screw with the screens, why not screw with the lights too? Give more of an ominous, spooky, vibe.
Yep. It's very spooky. It's in Steve's contract. Lab Rat says. It's another thing. So, the Good Hands get some heat on Florida, like we were talking about earlier. They get on the mic on the way to the ring and talk about how they can't wait to leave the cesspool of Florida, and it's almost like they're not 100% on board with the name the Good Hands, because the way that God, what's the guy's name I couldn't remember for
Which
all those
one?
weeks. Well, there's the guy that I said when Jason Hotch came out, I was like, this is the new guy that I couldn't remember before, and then they brought him back, so now they have the new and the old version of the carrot haircut indie wrestler. But
John Schuyler.
John Schuyler. Yeah, John Schuyler's the one on the mic, and he's like, they call us the Good Hands, like gesturing to the back, like that's not their, like it wasn't their idea, and that they're not doing the gimmick handshake, or like that they're just being disrespected, and it's not because they came up with this shit, right? So, so that was weird, I thought. Anyway, they're gonna face Tommy Dreamer and Mickey James, the greatest rub of their career. I mean, I'm not gonna try to scientifically break this down, but they just had a regular match as if Mickey was a person, like on their level, and she pins Hotch with a DDT. Then Bully comes out afterwards, attacks Dreamer, and then draws Mickey's attention so that Masha can attack her and give her the snowplow, and okay, there you go. So there it was, the Good Hands. Any impressions of the Good Hands here on their promo skills or their match here?
All I know is before they break this team up, I want to see them do a bit with the referencing the grab the good hand bit from Scary Movie 2.
A strong hand. Yeah. My germs. Yeah, that's let's see it. Let's see it. Or we could do kind of like the Scary Movie franchise and just disappear. Like, we could also do that with the Good Hands. I don't know. Just a thought. The next segment here is the one with Swinger and Zicky and Santino, and Dango. In this thing, a key thing was said that Santino is confirming here that it's 50 consecutive wins, which means one of two things. Either he didn't know what the original thing was and just assumed it was consecutive, or they're deciding to tie up that loose end and say that yes, it is in fact 50 consecutive wins. Either way, he hasn't gotten one yet, so I don't think we have to get too worried for a little while. So yeah, he does confirm that, and then Swinger's trying to suggest that maybe they can get around that, Daddy, and he's trying to pay him off, and Deputy Dango denies the request, or bribe, whichever, and he's basically, Santino's like, stop doing that. You're not my deputy, but you're right. So anyway, they go off to probably discuss the working arrangements there, and then Zicky talks up Johnny Swinger and says he's got the perfect person in mind that even you can beat. So we'll see who that is. We won't see it here tonight, but we'll see it sometime. Who could Johnny Swinger? Who could even Johnny Swinger beat? Mike Jackson? Like, who are they gonna? He couldn't beat Mike Jackson. But yeah, like, anybody have any thoughts on who that could be?
That actually is a good guess.
What, Mike Jackson?
I mean,
all right.
Spike
Hey,
Dudley,
why not?
maybe?
Spike Dudley. The giant killer? He hasn't killed a giant in a while. He might be out of practice. I don't know.
Ooh, this is a great idea.
Ziggy? Okay. Not Ziggy, the comic strip character from the 80s, but Ziggy, the his own guy. Somehow I don't think Ziggy Buckshot Kid's a Jay White. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Barry.
Did you catch the part where he says, "Can I get a push, the one that counts?" And everybody walks away, and he's standing there in his cart.
Yep. I did catch it. How could I not catch it? Like everything that Swinger does, he draws complete attention to it until he takes all the humor out of it. So anyway, we get a Rich Swann package. So if anybody is, you know, a little fuzzy on the history of Rich Swann with this Josh Alexander and the Impact title, I thought this did a good job of telling the story up till now. Impact is a way of doing these that's like more interesting and less impersonal than the WWE does. When the WWE does a package, they're like, it's nice, but they're all the same and they're trying way too hard. Like they try to, you know, out of context, they try to string together a series of events and do it in an over dramatic fashion with use of slow motion, music, like different, you know, either color and black and white transitions or whatever. And it's just like, sometimes they have to sit there like a wrestler will walk out to the ring for a promo and then say, and this is what happened. And then they go into some elaborate, instead of just showing the clip of what happened, they go into this elaborate pre-made, you know, video package explaining this whole thing, and they just have to stand there in the ring and watch it while this 2 minutes plays out. Here in Impact, it's like they have a guy sitting there talking to you, telling you a story, and they're highlighting what he's saying with the clips of the action. So it still feels kind of like an interview almost, but they actually have some visual aids for you. So I prefer this. If you're going to do this, prefer this.
Right, gives the talent more time to get their personality over and explain the situation through their point of view.
Right, and if they fuck it up, you cut and do it again.
Exactly, it's controlled and protected.
Right, not that Rich Swann has that problem, but I'm just saying, you know, if those things happen, you don't have to worry about, you know, having to do your whole pre-tape over again. So yeah. Scott Woodford is here. The man who met Moose is here. Scott, I hope you had a wonderful time with our greatest Impact treasure. I guess that was on the Jericho cruise, wasn't it? Like, I didn't think about it at the time, but the timing lined up when he's saying he's going to meet him, and, you know, all of a sudden I'm like, well, where was Moose? Oh, it's on the cruise.
That would make sense. That would make sense because it's like, wait a minute, how are you going to randomly run into Moose on a boat?
Yeah, it was not random. He knew ahead of time he was going to meet Moose. He told us. Yes, it was on the Jericho cruise. Well, we're going to have Scott Woodford submit a Jericho cruise report just like Liz did for the Royal Rumble then. Anyway, Buckshot Kid also making the good point. Like they said, Swann didn't get the rematch for the title. That's true, he didn't, and they did acknowledge that. And why wouldn't you? If you were Rich Swann, that'd be the whole thing. And he's been trying to say it. Like, as we've been watching it week to week, we've heard him mention that a few times. He's been trying to get a match with Josh Alexander. It's not like they were just like, all right, who's next for Josh? All right, Rich Swann, let's make up a reason. No, Rich Swann has been there the whole time. It's almost like, hey, you know, one thing, and he's like, hold on, I have to take care of some business for some guy that somehow is assaulting my family but not getting fired from here. So as soon as I'm done with that, then we can have a nice, friendly, sportsman-like match. Um, so yeah, another thing that Impact is getting right. I point out enough of what they don't get right, so I feel like I feel guilty if I don't, acknowledge that they are doing stuff that is good.
I don't know why, but after this, I kind of got the vibe. I could see a heel turn title switch happening at the pay-per-view.
That is because you have been preconditioned with years and years of terrible booking. Let's hope your instincts are wrong. Well, here's Steph DeLander with a microphone. She's our worst nightmare, she says. And she says other stuff too, but that's her go home line, so I'm sticking with that. Australian. She's one of the only women wrestlers from Australia that the WWE didn't sign, I guess. Unless she was signed by them and they released her at some point. I don't know. I don't know who this is. Why doesn't anybody know who this is? Who is this? But she's here with a mic. And she's taking on Jordan Grace. Seth Rollins is wearing Yoshi boots. Yoshi? What do you mean Yoshi boots? What's a Yoshi boot? You mean the boots that the dinosaur from Super Mario Brothers wears? Or boots with the dinosaur from Super Mario Brothers on them?
Yeah, that is a very important distinction.
Right. And with Seth Rollins, it could be either. So we need to know.
Shit, with Seth Rollins, it could be one on each foot.
He's got one regular boot and one green speckled white boot. That'd be good. Unlike this was, well, I'm not gonna say it was bad. Jordan Grace versus Steph DeLander. Now, Steph is decently sized in terms of height and also width, without, not insulting her. Just, she's not like a Alicia or something. But yeah, I mean, they had a match. Yeah.
She's believably strong.
Yeah, she looks pretty strong. Liz says, boots that Yoshi wears. He's wearing big red boots that look like Yoshi's. Okay. All right. Well, that's to help Seth Rollins run on top of piranha plants and stuff without getting bitten. So yeah, did you have any evaluations on this match? Like Steph, you're seeing Steph for the first time. We all are. I was kind of watching this to see what she did. She didn't knock my boots off. She didn't blow my boots, Yoshi boots and Yoshi socks off. Just seemed like another average wrestler, but maybe you saw something. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not really. I didn't really see a whole lot in this. To be honest with you. I think she sold too much, and she's in there with the wrong person for her first match.
Well, I was just getting done saying a nice thing I liked about Impact, but another thing I notice about Impact is that they often bring people in, give them an L, and then expect us to like build them back up from there. Like either in our own minds or with them, booking them against somebody else. Like Alan Angels came in, dropped 2, and then he joins the design, and it's like, oh yes, that guy that can't win. All right. He's a threat. You know what I mean? Like,
wouldn't the logic be he wins matches and all of a sudden the design wants him?
Yeah, that would be. Then the problem is you got to give Alan Angels a win on TV, and nobody wants that. So, better just leave him in AEW where he wasn't wanted either. Anyway, yeah. Buckshot Kid says she might be the best in-ring worker from Australia. That's a girl. She's not even the best in-ring worker from Australia that I probably watched today. But you got to remember, Rhea Ripley exists. Tony Storm exists. Either of the either of the Iconics or whatever they're called now that they retired exist.
The
Yeah. Inspiration. Yeah. They exist. Emma exists. A lot of people exist. Next is a scene where Cardona says, he's complaining to a different stagehand or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That he's not supposed to change in a broom closet. He'd rather change in the parking lot, and someone needs to fix this for him right now. So the guy's like, okay, follow me. And then he follows him, and you could already see where this is going. If you have half a brain, he leads him out to the parking lot and says, you said you'd rather change in the parking lot, because we forgot that he said that 10 seconds ago. So, he's like, I don't even have my bag. And the guy throws his bag out there and closes the door. How does that make sense? The guy, Matt Cardona traveled to this guy, and then he's complained that he didn't like his dressing room, and then the guy leads him all the way down a hallway and out the thing, but Cardona's bag is right there by the door. That's very convenient. It's nice of him to park his bag, his rolling case, right by the door to the parking lot before he went and complained to another guy down the hall. Whatever, who cares? If you think this is funny, it's funny. If you don't, and you're like me and you're like, okay, I see what you're doing, but you're doing it all wrong, then you're not as happy. What did you think?
I liked it until the whole thing with the suitcase. It didn't make any sense.
It's like they're just writing gags. It's like, here's a gag. This is funny. This would be on Monday Night Raw. They would do this. That's basically how. That's how, if you guys listen to either Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru or Jim Cornette Experience, Brian Last often says something when he's complaining about, AEW wrestling or whatever. He say, if he can see this happening on Monday Night Raw, it's bad. Like, that's a bad segment. So, anyway, Raw rolls on. Josh with Gia and no music underneath. He's having a nice little talk here. And then Kenny King comes in, which reminds me, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to get that popcorn back. Hold on, I'll finish talking about this first. Kenny King comes in, and he starts saying how Josh has been protected, and he's got friends here, and that's why he gets all, that's why he's the champion. Otherwise, he wouldn't be. And then he said now he wants to fight his little buddy Rich Swann or whatever. And then Swann comes in, and he talks some trash back to Kenny King, and then Kenny King is like, you ain't gonna do nothing, and Rich Swann punches him in the face, and then Kenny King decides that, you know what, even though I just got punched in the face, I'm not gonna fight back because you're just trying to goad me into something so that you two can jump me. So I'm out of here or whatever. This was it was all right. I especially like the back and forth between Kenny and Rich, because it didn't sound like, someone wrote it for them. It sounded like they were in the context of pro wrestling speak, it sounded like a conversation that two people could reasonably have. Did you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, absolutely, definitely. I could see it, people sitting down and this being something like you hear at a restaurant or like in a fast food place or something if you're sitting down and eating. I mean, granted, the content wouldn't be this personal, but
no, or it wouldn't be as delicious as Rob's backstage popcorn.
However, there's one part during the promo that made me just kind of go like Josh, you got to take the L on that one, man. Was when when he took a shot at about how Josh's wife wears the pants in the family, and then Josh comes back with like, well, yeah, did you win any matches?
I mean, Kenny's got a point. She does wear pants. Never seen Josh's wife in a dress. Think about it. Well, meanwhile, Josh is out there in spandex singlets. I don't know. I don't know.
No, but I'm liking how like this Kenny's kind of becoming like delusional narcissist. Like
Delusional, or does he have a point?
Well, I mean, like with the whole thing of him instigating the fight and then playing the victim when they fight back.
Oh yeah. Well, isn't that everybody that does that?
Yeah, but at least with him doing, I'm kind of picking up some Cartman vibes from it.
I mean, yeah, Cartman's a good example. I was thinking of like the right wingers who complain about snowflakes and then they complain about everything. You call people snowflakes while you're complaining about people's opinions. At least the snowflakes are complaining about real issues. And right wingers are complaining about having to hear about it. Anyway, speaking of complaining, Killer Kelly and Taylor Wilde, the People's Witch, versus the Death Dolls. So the gimmick of this match is Taylor's not going to tag in until she does her tarot reading. I guess
Hey, credit
it's
to
in the cards.
Committing to the bit.
Yep, even when it doesn't make sense. So
I was waiting for at some point, like as she's digging through the cards, like the person, whoever she's holding, to fight out and just take back over.
I mean, you would think there some of them were a little uncomfortably long, but eventually it doesn't work, and she gets I forget what card it was, the Devil.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because Matthew Ray waltzed over on commentary pretending he could see what card it is or that he knows anything about them. But he's just there to tell us what it is because we don't know what the fuck's going on. And after that leads to the Road to Valhalla move. And then Killer Kelly gets beat. And then James Mitchell comes out afterwards. And says some shit about, your father, my boss, is not happy, and, whatever. I don't know what the fuck he's trying to do, but he says he's going to put a hex on Rosemary, and then the hex from NWA shows up and kicks the shit out of everybody. So, there you go. The hex is here. On a show full of women that look like they just walked in off the street. In NWA, I mean, the Hex is definitely one of those teams of women. So here they are. Are you hyped? You guys hyped? The Hex. It's the Hex.
I'm more hyped if we get to see more Jim Mitchell.
That guy creeps me out. But
I know Marty Bell was in Impact. Wasn't the other one in there too?
Yep. Marty Bell was wasn't she with Mia Yim?
Yeah, and
they were the Dollhouse.
Yeah, and Taryn Terrell.
Yep. And the other one was Sienna. The crowd even chanted it at her when she showed up. Allison Kay, I think is her gimmick name now.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Yep.
Yeah. The Dollhouse. Yep. So they're back. But anything's better than being in the NWA these days. Fuck. I'm not going to go off into an NWA tangent, but we can talk about Fat Eddie he goes to see Mahabali Shira, who's doing Stevie Richards Fitness. And shout out to Stevie Richards, by the way, who's recently suffered a back injury, I guess. One of those things, you're every once in a while your back just gives out. Well, it definitely gave out on Stevie, so he's got a road to recovery ahead of him. So, I want to say shout outs to Stevie. I know he's going to be, back on track real soon, and he's going to be covering. He told me he's going to be documenting his whole rehab process, so you'll be able to watch him get better along with everyone else. But yeah. So, but I guess Eddie went back to see them, and they held this conversation in a bowl of rainbow sherbet. At least that's what I thought from the color that was all over the walls and everything. Like, I was just like, what is this? What? I thought we were doing better than this, guys. You just can't let it alone, can you? Like, most of the show doesn't have it, but now they're just starting to put it in there at least just once or twice. Now I think it's personal. I think it's personal to me. And that they're putting these lights in here when they don't have to,
I'm telling you, man, it's Santino. He's doing it.
Son of a bitch, Santino.
Oh, we can take Shara and his buddy off the milk carton list too. They've finally been seen. Now we just got what's his nuts, Laredo Kid.
Laredo Kid may never be seen again because he's got a full-time gig at AAA. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, he gone.
But yeah. So he's basically trying to put a hit out on PCO because they're in a tournament match or whatever. So Eddie's trying to convince him. He didn't offer food or anything because Eddie wouldn't do that. But yeah, he just wants him to do it just because. Singh was like, "Hey, you want anything extra done in the match? You can pay up." Eddie's like, I don't know, food budget. So he doesn't want to go that far. He just says, look, just get it done. It's like, okay, so win the match that I was already going to try to win without you. It's great writing.
Bullet. If you're paying that kind of money, I'd be saying, I want you to Tanya Harding that motherfucker.
Yeah, well, he's not. He's not paying any money. He was just trying to get him to slide it in there for free. Just enter him for free, please. Yeah, that's what I mean. Great writing. Bullet Club breaks up the Time Machine reunion, which I could have sworn they called themselves something else, but anyway, I guess they dropped that for legal reasons. But they say they want to challenge at No Surrender, a 6-man match. And they're going to bring in as their tag team partner, they're going to bring in Kenta. So, Kenta, the legend from Japan, is a part of the Bullet Club. And, in my opinion, he's doing the best stuff in comedy wrestling today.
Really?
This is how, yes. Now, he's not having comedy matches per se, but everything, if you have not seen any of this guy's promos or whatever that he's been doing in New Japan, which you can go to newjapanworld.com and jpwworld.com, and you can watch any of the backstage comments for completely free. There's no charge for that. There's lots of free content on the website. So you don't even have to sign up. You can just click on it and watch. And if you go to the backstage comments and go to Kenta's thing, he's the funniest promo in wrestling. I promise you. But he's got a lot of callbacks and running gags. So you may be a little bit lost if you were just to try to do that. Just trust me, all right? You know what I'm talking about. He's funny. So there you go. Now we get to Shira versus PCO. I just wrote down oof next to this. I don't know if you had anything further.
Yeah, this one was definitely an obvious of who was going over.
It's like they only bring Shira in to put somebody else over. Like his only use is being a big guy that someone can beat, whether it's a small guy or PCO or whoever. It's like, hey, you beat this guy. Look at him. He's got to be tough, right? So,
yep.
credibility.
Yeah, but how's it looking? You're a big guy who can't win.
It looks like Mahabali Shira. That's what it looks like. Because, goddamn, how long has this guy been wrestling?
Dude, I want to say he's first came to Impact in 2013, maybe?
So he's coming up on 10 years. 10 years and he's still this bad. And PCO ain't really getting any better either. Because he's not working anymore. He's just a stunt wrestler now. Like he just stumbles his way through everything until it's time for him to jump off of something onto something. Or take a crazy bump or whatever. Like, and he's getting less safe and coordinated even with those now. The more he hurts himself, the less he's agile he's going to be when he tries to do these flips. Like he does that suicide dive with the flip over the rope early in this match, over the second rope, you know, and he kind of flips. Well, one of these days he's just not going to flip. He's just going to land on his head and be Big E'd. So, you know, I'm not looking forward to that day, but you painted yourself into a corner with this gimmick now. That's the gimmick is that you can't be killed. So you can't just not do that and wrestle a regular match anymore.
I mean, there is a way out of it, but unfortunately you kind of got to wrestle crap your way out of it. Or just completely drop it and...
Hey guys, I'm a pirate again. Why not? It wouldn't be that crazy compared to some of this other stuff. I don't think. Liz says, I'm not so sure that it's an act for PCO at this point. That may actually be him now. Yeah. It could be. And Hatebot agrees with me on the dive. Yep. It's very scary. Very scary dive. You guys want to see a real dive? Follow me at Twitter, Opinion Haver. I posted something from the New Beginning this weekend where you see the correct way to set up a suicide dive and to do it.
Speaking of length of time, how long has Shira been wrestling that? How do you not know you Irish rip the guy from the middle of the ring and not across the ring?
Oh, I don't know. Like, does Al Snow teach you nothing down there? It's the only accredited professional wrestling trade school in the United States. Are you leaving out the part about bring him halfway for an Irish whip? I don't know. We love Al. Any other notes on this?
Okay. Not really. It's other than like, man, that makeup looks nasty on him.
Well, remember, he was buried in the Vegas desert, so.
I mean, at least there are points for continuity in that part of it.
Yes. He held that dirt in his mouth all the way back from Vegas. Gia welcomes Matt Cardona back in the building. Literally. She's like, welcome back in the building. Or whatever she says. And then we do a literal cut to Matt looking and finding Brian Myers eating the shrimp cocktail from earlier. And a conga line of other guys singing the Joe Hendry theme song, and Myers claps along with it, and Cardona's like, did you just clap? So he can't even count on his friend here to have his back at this point. Yeah. Again, this is the kind of stuff I imagine like the Impact fans are eating this up, and I would like it if it just weren't so dumb and phony. If they had figured out just the slight tweaks to make this somewhat more realistic, then I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But realistic is not the Major Brothers forte. It's not Impact's forte. It's just bad comedy. So here you go. Any thoughts on this?
I mean, just more segments to kind of try to build to the main event tonight, which honestly for me, a little bit of anticipation there. I mean, they actually dedicated a good portion or several segments of the show to building to the main event. And I haven't seen that in a long time.
Well, it's the least they could do. In that aspect, then yes, they are writing shows that have a through line, but maybe just some of the content could get tightened up. I don't know if they have a tightener. Don't know if they have a tightener, or if they just unleash Jimmy Jacobs and we get what we get. I'm not sure. So yeah. But at least Brian Myers got to have some shrimp. So then Frankie Kazarian is trying to talk to Callahan. I wanted to say he was, you know, that they were over by this, you know, big pile of garbage or whatever, and there was also a dumpster that it was leaning on, but I didn't feel like it until now. So but the design shows up, and they're kind of like, hey, that's our girl, don't talk to her. And Frankie ends up challenging Khan to a match at No Surrender. So even though he's outnumbered, he's brave enough to challenge the biggest man to a match at No Surrender. So Frankie Kazarian, 100% babyface in this. All right. Well, there you go. Another No Surrender match. I don't know. Sure, why not? I can't really, you know, there's nothing to really bury here, but other than just Callahan being a big bag of crap.
Yeah, like, what did he do besides just kind of sit there and look all sullen and pouty?
Yeah, was he on his phone, or did he just have the posture of somebody that was looking at their phone?
I want to say, but he was just literally just sitting there. I don't think he had anything in his hands, just literally sitting there like he was looking at his phone, but there was no phone there.
Okay. Maybe phones aren't allowed in the design, or maybe they took his phone. Like he's grounded. Like step 5, get your phone. So yeah, all right. Well, here we are. We're at the main event. We finally got to the main event. It was billboarded. It was built to, and here we have Matt Cardona versus Joe Hendry for the Digital Media Championship. Now, this being the first time we've seen Joe Hendry on the episode, and we didn't see him at all last time, you know, that's another, when I'm looking at this script, and I'd be like, all right, where's the Joe Hendry? Like, we don't only have to have him come out for the match. We could have other things here. But here we get him. We get him for a match, a full match. It's got time. I looked at the clock. There was like 16 minutes left or whatever on it. So there you go. It was probably more if you were watching it on something with commercials, because there was 16 minutes left of unedited time when I was watching it. So they got the time, and they had the match. So did you have any notes on the match itself?
I mean, no, decent, good main event match. And both guys obviously know, great workers, know what they're doing.
Okay.
I didn't really feel much about it. I just thought it was a good match.
Yes, exactly. That's the problem. You don't feel that much about it. And I think that's because as much as I enjoy Matt Cardona, like, if you ask me, hey, you want to sign Matt Cardona to your wrestling promotion? I'll be like, yes, sure. Bring him in. I'm going to sign him. I'm going to let him do all his outside projects, whatever he wants. I'm going to let him do as much on the show that he wants to do. I think he's a great person to have there and to be a utility type player, like what we're rumored that the WWE wants to bring him in to do, which is be like a player coach who's a working agent and also an on-screen personality. He's just finishing up with his other dates and stuff like that, and his wife was done with hers first, so she's already there. And then he can follow, and then they can be a nice husband and wife team and do whatever. I'm sure that's what they want. However, just because I think all that doesn't mean that bell to bell in between the ropes, I think that Zack Ryder's the greatest that ever lived. It's just he knows how to do the fake pro wrestling match, the 5-minute match, the 10-minute match. You know, he's not good enough to get a good match out of somebody. He's barely good enough to hold up his end with a great wrestler. You know, like he can do all the moves and stuff, but everything he does has that hint of, this is pro wrestling and it's not real to it. He's always been like that. He's been like that since the day I first saw him in fucking OVW when he was a major brother, you know? Like, he's just never gotten past that ceiling. So while you're watching this match, just like I was staring at it like, this is fine. This is fine. No real investment in it. These guys are just having a match. They're doing the match they planned out to have. And I get no sense of, being in the moment or, calling an audible or trying to get any heat anywhere. It's just do your pre-planned, prearranged paint by numbers moves and have your match and get out. That's the downside of Matt Cardona, is all the upsides that he does have. That is the downside. And I don't think it's a very important downside. That's why I'd be willing to overlook it, because of all the other positives that he has. Like, who cares if you can have a good match? We got enough people in my imaginary wrestling promotion. We got enough good people that can have a good match. We don't need Matt Cardona to have a good match. He just needs to hold up his end of the bargain and be a presence. So
I got to thinking too, whatever happened to that spot in the Joe Hendry match is where he'd pop up behind the guy.
yeah, get with it, Joe Hendry, you bum, for getting your own shit like that. Come on. But anyway, yeah, good match. And then we get a now, was this before the finish where Moose ran out or after? I don't remember.
I want to say after, because he didn't get the job. So I think it's good because Matt didn't get the job done and get the belt.
Did Myers come out and try to interfere?
Yes, it led to the finish.
Right. He tried to do something and he ended up hitting Cardona with the roster cut, right?
Yeah, and then he fed right into the standing ovation.
Okay. So standing ovation. And then 1, 2, 3, and then Moose comes out. So we get our Moose sighting, and he wants a piece of Joe Hendry, and he goes to spear Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry moves, and Cardona gets hit again. So funny. And then Moose is just like, Moose has the proper reaction of, oh, fuck this. Like, because sometimes when a heel that really doesn't have any connection to another heel accidentally hits that other heel, they're like, oh my God, oh, what happened? What are you doing? And Moose is just like, get out. He's like, get out of the damn way. Yeah, and then he gets bipped out, I think, at that point. And then Hendry gets up the ramp and he wants them to play the new hit of Edge's Bitch. So they end up playing the whole video and song, and everyone laughs at Matt Cardona as we go off the air. Moose just disappeared at some point. He's like, this already happened to me. I'm out of here. So So we basically go off the air with Matt Cardona being like, man, stop making fun of me, or whatever. I don't know. A little soft ending, I think. But, what are you going to do? If you were here for Joe Hendry, you got that match, such as it was. If you were here for Moose, you got a little moose. A moose charged.
A wild moose appears.
Yeah, and not much else. A wild moose appears. Moose use tackle. It's super effective, but on the wrong guy. So
he missed and hit the trainer.
Yep, that's it. So there you go. Man, that'd be awesome if Pokemon had accidental trainer hits. It's like, you fainted. Game over. Oh, shit. I saved 10 hours ago. So, yeah, there you go. Impact. So, is No Surrender this weekend?
It is... I believe it's the 24th. I can double check. I know it's usually on a Friday.
Okay, so the week after that.
Friday, February 24th.
All right, good. I'll have to watch it. It's the Elimination Chamber that's this weekend, right? God damn it. Yeah, well, so they've got one more week of TV to get No Surrender over. The card's not really shaping up to be anything I care about right now, so it's very unfortunate. I mean, we don't even have a hint of what Joe Hendry or Moose will be doing, unless, no, we don't. So, I mean, not looking forward to it. But we can put that off for an extra week, because that's the 24th. So here we are right now on the 13th, Valentine's Day tomorrow. I'm sure some of you have some great plans. Any AMA style questions or anything that you want to ask before we get out of here? Because we got a few extra minutes, I guess. No big deal. Colin Wysong is here, former co-host of the Impact Attack. He was the former C before he was replaced by the chat, and even Chris last week was a C. Chris Ames was a C, so he's also a C that fits in. He asks, who is your champion in this vet promotion? Who is my champion? Well, it's got to be Okada, right? I would definitely draft Kazuchika Okada and make him the champion. Why wouldn't I? And nobody can beat him. And he retires as champion at the age of 50. He's like 34 now. All right, so Jerome Hall is here. That's great. So any other so we're just waiting for just waiting for any questions or comments. Hatebot wonders if Chelsea Green helps Matt with his fig baths. That's the thing, like when and this is a good conversation to have for Valentine's Day or whatever. Especially now more than ever, when you're basically, if you're getting in a relationship with somebody, you're just waiting until the moment that they've had enough of you. You've got to find somebody that is into the same things that you are, at least to some degree. Because it's going to be a source of friction, not fiction. It's going to be a source of friction between you two the whole time. They will pretend, in that honeymoon phase, when they're getting to know you, when you're dating and you're finding out about the person, and they find out, oh, you collect and play with toys. Oh, I see. Like you pretend that you're cool with that. And then it becomes the the inciting incident for all the fights that you're going to have years down the road. Hopefully, it's not too many years so that you haven't sunk all that time in. And then you find yourself in one of those type situations, the sunk cost fallacy situation. Oh, I've been with him this long and he plays with these toys. I swear that's why everybody else broke up with him, because they probably just didn't realize, like Emma probably didn't realize how much he was into the toys at the time, stuff like that. But yeah. So that's the so my advice, if you're out there and you're thinking about dating, and especially if you're using one of them dating apps, be honest on the dating app. And if you're a wrestling fan or whatever you like, whatever weird shit that you like, make sure to put that up front so that you'll get matched with somebody else. Now, they might be pretending to like it too, but at least you have a higher percentage chance of matching up with somebody that's going to tolerate your bullshit. What did you think of the Volkanovski doggy guy decision? Really? You're going to disrespect Makhachev like that? As you type out the entire name of Volkanovski? I don't know. I didn't watch the fight, so I can't tell you if it was a good decision or not. They're probably the whole thing is probably a work, and they're gonna have a rematch. Makhachev Volk 2, the sequel. Would I want to talk to Sabu? Well, let me put it this way. I don't not want to talk to Sabu. I don't know what I would say to Sabu, really. What can I say to Sabu? He's been everywhere and done it all. Like, I have nothing to ask him or tell him. So Sabu's kind of self-explanatory. He's his own thing. So I guess the answer is no, but it's not like a negative no. It's more like a reverent no. Like, what would Sabu want to talk to me for is the real question.
Did I ever tell you guys the story about the time I kind of sort of watched him get ripped off?
Oh, tell that story.
So it was kind of like a weekend shot. We were like a Friday, Saturday thing, because the Royal Rumble was in town. And this one guy who was like local promoter brought in, like he did more than just wrestling, did like other stuff as well. Brought in Sabu for this one show he was running, or the show he's running on the Friday night. And then apparently he had lied to Sabu, saying that there was another promotion who was wanting to use him for a seminar. And I was working that show that night, and Sabu shows up and says, and nobody knows what he's doing there, why he's there. And he's like, well, I'm here for the seminar I'm supposed to do, right? And they're like, we don't know anything about that.
So who does?
Apparently it was like a setup, like that's supposed to be part of his pay for the weekend, and he got lied to.
Yep. Look, Colin saying mute your mic. This is I expect you to know this is a gimmick, right? I'm not doing this to be polite. I'm doing it so you all get to hear it out there in audio land. And some of you are jerking off to it because you're into that ASMR stuff. So, no, I'm not going to mute it. Who wins in a fight? Mr. Burns or Leonardo? Well, if you remember the scene in The Simpsons where Smithers got a phone call or something, and he rested his sponge on Mr. Burns' head, and Mr. Burns almost drowned. That should give you an idea who would probably win that. On a side note, I watched Clerks 3. Have any of you seen it in the chat, or have you, Brandon?
I still have yet to see it.
I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't. If you guys kind of know what you're expecting or hoping to get from it, it's probably not going to be that. It's just gonna be sad and boring. So I wouldn't recommend it. But it's not as painfully terrible as Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, but it's not good. So even for a nostalgia thing, it's pretty pathetic. Favorite wedding in wrestling? I don't know. I don't like any of them, but I mean, if I had to, I'd probably go with the Macho Man and Liz one from SummerSlam, even though I don't really remember it. I know I've seen it. And that was at a time when I wasn't really watching wrestling. So I had to go back and see it after the fact. What about you, Brandon? Favorite wrestling wedding?
Man. Macho Liz.
Yep.
I mean, wasn't it kind of the one that set the tone for all of them? Or they had that, or they did really, really well with it, and so thought, hey, let's keep doing it. Which to be fair, you look at the numbers, they draw ratings, so it's telling them it puts numbers on the board.
I mean, I suppose, but it could put a rating on the board for that night, but what's that going to do for the business?
Right. It's what's important is like the execution and the follow up.
Yeah. Also, I think the Uncle Elmer wedding set the tone for all weddings to follow.
That's true. Yeah, I was saying. I just thought of that.
Which we should have known then. Never do this again. But there we go. Yeah. Scott Woodward was there with Billy and Chuck. Scott Woodward's like the, no disrespect, he's like the Forrest Gump of like he was there at all those historic wrestling things. Billy and Chuck, Moose on the cruise, others, Dinner with Sabu. So Buckshot Kid asked, did any of you ever work the same guy? Well, I don't know. I don't know every guy that Brandon's worked. Let me think.
Colin Delaney?
Nope. Yeah, let's go through your list, because so many people came through those doors.
That would probably be the only one.
Colin Delaney. He was like, he showed up. Colin Delaney showed up out of fucking nowhere in the WWE's version of ECW at some point. And I think I'd probably already either retired or got close to retiring. So I didn't know. So Sam Timo presided over Aaron's. He's talking about Aaron's wedding. Aaron Stevens on NWA, and Sam Timo is Santino, but for legal reasons, somehow he can't use it there, but he uses it in Impact. So very funny joke. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So, well, I'm not seeing any. You guys can keep the questions coming, I guess, if you got any more. Trying to think. The Clerks. So the Clerks thing. Like Hatebot was saying, Kevin Smith hasn't been funny in a long time, and I don't know what happened. He probably just. It's not that I don't think Kevin Smith is any necessarily less funny as a person in day-to-day life, but his movies stopped being funny a long time ago, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because we outgrew the movies, because he's just kind of doing the same shit. Like when you watch Clerks 3, it's like a movie about Randall having a heart attack and wanting to, before he's dead, to do something with his life, So he ends up making a movie that ends up being like the original Clerks. Like, except that, you know, Kevin Smith didn't make the original Clerks during a midlife crisis. He made it in his 20s as a guerrilla filmmaker. But he was trying to transplant that experience into like somebody's late in life bucket list ideas. So half of his entire material comes from just like reshooting scenes from the original Clerks and being like, remember this, guys? It's a reference. Like you couldn't have done anything lazier than what he did in that. And we didn't need anything after Clerks 2. We didn't even need Clerks 2, but since they made it, it was funny enough, I guess. But yeah, so he ends up like letting his first original movie do all of his heavy lifting for this third version. It's insane. It's insane. So excited about any new game releases? Am I excited about any new game releases? No, I am not. I am not excited. I'm booing the game releases. But I'm sure there'll be something coming out that'll grab my attention. See, a lot of the big AAA titles, they let you know when they're coming out a long time in advance. And then you're supposed to get excited for those. And then while you're waiting for those, some like smaller game will just pop up and be like, I didn't even know they had a release date. And then you just end up playing that or whatever. What about you, Brandon? Any games coming out that pique your interest, or are you just gonna Warcraft it up?
Nah, man, I'm gonna keep it old school, homie.
Okay. Do you see that train that got derailed in Ohio? Not exactly. I mean, I know what you're referencing, but I didn't see anything about it. What about you, Brandon? Did you see any news on this?
Yeah,
Chemical spill or something?
Yeah, it's way bad actually. It's apparently there's wildlife and fish dead hundreds, like 100 miles from where the derailing happened.
100 miles is a long way.
That's a real long way.
Man. Well, I don't know. I can't really comment on it too much because I didn't look into it. I only see these types of things as like memes on social media. I don't really keep up with the news. It seems like the further I try to bury my head in the sand like an ostrich, like people are like digging holes to show me stuff. I'm just like, would you stop? So, and the same thing with Buckshot Kid asking about the UFOs getting shot down. We had UFOs getting shot down. I guess because people were making jokes about the aliens just wanting to watch the Super Bowl. That's how I know that anything like that even happened. I don't know what anybody's talking about. When I see the word UFOs, I immediately am just like, I roll my eyes.
China shot one down.
China did.
Mm-hmm.
Did they shoot it down with one of their remaining balloons? Because that was a IFO. And it was an identified flying object. We identified it, and we shot that down. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, would you see anything interesting about that? Do you look into that stuff? When you see that stuff, do you like click a few links and look into it, or are you just like, I don't got time for this?
I might like get a little bit of like a brief idea, so if it comes up, I can have like a little bit of knowledge of it in conversation. But other than that, it's like I'll put it this: like whatever is going to happen is going to happen. God's in control. I just gotta stop worrying about shit.
Yes. Canada Spaceman asked, "Do you like that song Fish Heads? I might if I knew what it was." Should I pull that up live? Listen to it? I don't even want to know what would come up if I Google something that Canada Spaceman told me about. How excited are you to have the God of Thunder on tomorrow? See, look at Colin. He's still trying to do like a producer thing and like feed me a line. Probably assuming I wasn't going to say anything about it in my outro, but yes, we, Ray and I are going to invite the godfather of the Next Level Wrestling Review, the founder, if you will, the Andrew Bello, will be on with us to talk about NXT and to talk about his mixtape, presumably, that came out several months ago, but it's taken him this long to get around to trying to promote it on shows. So I've never gotten to speak to Mr. Bello in person, only through DMs. So very looking forward to it. And I have listened to the album, so we'll be talking about that. Of course, I listened to it when it first came out, so I don't remember anything about it now, but I'll just try to wing it. Yeah. When is the Ridiculously Random podcast coming back? Well, I will answer this one, even though Colin is here. It's never coming back. It will never come back. It took a little bit longer than the 6 weeks I gave it, sure. That is true. I admit that. But it was only like 10 or 11 weeks anyway. So, I mean, what the hell? Come on. That's pretty good, right? But it ain't going to come back for various reasons. And the only way that someone could recreate it, if you want to watch the Ridiculously Random podcast, may I suggest you watch the A Show, which is also on every Wednesday with April Hunter and Big Ray Hernandez. And if you see Colin showing up in a robe with a disgustingly unkempt beard and hair, looking like if I don't even know how to make an analogy out of this. Let's just say if you want that, that's your new RRP now, is the A Show. Or are you going to bet on Power Slap? I put $100 on Slap Jesus to win the belt. Slap Jesus. That's what Colin looks like. Sitting in a robe with a beard. Yeah, no, I'm not going to bet on Power Slap. I'm not even going to watch it. I'm not even going to watch clips of it. Only reason I've seen anything of it is because if I'm trying to watch an AEW or something, they run ads for it. But yeah, the idea of two men standing there slapping each other doesn't appeal to me. And before anybody comes in with the New Japan references or whatever, that's different. All right, well, that's dead air, so I think it's time to probably wrap the show. I think we've done all we can do here. So, Brandon, let the people know where they can find you when you're not here on this wonderful show.
When I'm not here kicking it with my man, the vet and the C here on the Impact Attack, you can find me on Twitch at Miss Tia the Transarchist, as well as Twitter at TransarchistTia. Whoop, whoop.
That's right. And Buckshot Kid with a last minute question. Did anyone watch NWA Enough Said? No, nobody did. Nobody in the world did. Ha ha ha. Except you. Ha ha. And Hitman. Ha ha ha. Or Media M5 for you chat listeners. Okada would get fucked up in Power Slap. Except he wouldn't because he's too smart to do it. So, meh. Yeah, you can find me at Opinion Haver on all the social medias. And that includes twitch.tv/Opinion Haver, where tomorrow is either $2 Tuesdays, or this week it's going to be another continuation of True Crime Tuesdays. I put true in quotes because none of it's real. It's video games. But we're playing Mafia, the remastered edition, on there tomorrow. So you want to check that out. That'll be probably I don't know exactly what time, but probably around 11 a.m. Eastern or somewhere after that. We'll see. Stay tuned. Have your notification bells clicked so that you know when I go live. And then, of course, like I already mentioned, to check out the Next Level Wrestling Review with Big Ray Hernandez and myself, when we have on the Andrew Bello. To talk, he's gonna have to watch wrestling and talk about it. Sucker. Unless he just doesn't, in which case we'll boot him off before the last hour. Or make him sit through us talking about it. which could be good too. So you can see that. And then we've got what else do we got going on? We got the Impact Attack you already know about because you're listening to it now. And then check out. I know it said Stevie Rich has been bedridden recently, except when he has to get out and go to the doctor. But he's had the Big Fitness Show, which also comes out on Wednesday. Man, everything comes out on Wednesday, and Wednesday's a big deal. You get an episode of Next Level Wrestling Review, you get an episode of the A Show, and you get an episode of the Big Fitness Show with Stevie Richards and Big Mike Barons. So, yeah, you're definitely going to want to check that out. I don't know if there'll be a new episode, but maybe this will be the time to catch up on the old episodes if Stevie's not able to record one. And check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers live on YouTube every Friday with a Q&A. Where this week he had this past episode they had Nick Dinsmore, aka Eugene, show up and jump in there and hang out with them. He's very funny as always. They had a good time yucking it up. And sometimes when there's not a great guest like that, maybe I pop in there and hang out with the Von Lilas and Rip Rogers for a little bit. You never know. So you'll just have to keep your eyes peeled for that. So like, comment, subscribe, and get a membership while you're at it. Why not? Speaking of which, we got channelattitude.com, man. Let me tell you, there's a lot of Valentine's Day gifts getting given out around this time. And, chocolates, flowers, teddy bears. Who cares about any of that? What about unlistenably thousands of hours of content that you could get for the low price of $4.95? Will get you this month and every month that ever existed on channelattitude.com for Hami Media Group or Russo brand. You take your pick, and you know what? Don't even pick. Just put the coffee down, put the chocolate down, put the flowers down, put the bear down, and say, I love you with a double bundle of Russo brand and Hami Media Group on channelattitude.com. That's like, what, $9.90, something like that, $9.90. You can't beat it. It's under $10. Everything costs $5 these days, right? No matter what it is, whether it's just like a pack of Tic Tacs or whatever. But the one thing that's always $5 but worth it, these subscriptions to Hami Media Group on Channel Attitude and Russo brand on Channel Attitude. So with that being said, I think I've plugged everything I can plug. Unless I'm forgetting something. No, probably not. So for Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign-off line.